have initiated a series of forums. We call them NFL Community Huddles, taking a goal line stance for your mind and body. And I think that says a lot about what we're trying to achieve. We are working with the NFL, especially the NFL alumni. We are engaging former football players and their families in these discussions, but also we're bringing in people from the community. Our role with the NFL is to bring together former football players and their families and develop support among them for each other, but also to assure them of our support for making sure that they get the health care that they need. But at the same time, we feel our role, especially in Morehouse School of Medicine, role is to educate and to work with communities, because in the final analysis, we want to be able to prevent this from happening. We have really brought together, I think, a great group of people to really make these points. For example, Shamika Hokloff, outstanding professional basketball player. I think she was on the championship team at Tennessee and was Player of the Year throughout the country. She has suffered depression and she's willing to talk about it. We have Eric Hipple, I think a former quarterback in the NFL, who has also dealt with depression and even had a son to commit suicide. Eric talks about that very freely and makes the point that we can't take the mental health of our children for granted. We need to nurture their mental health. Mark Kelso had several concussions, and after a while he was told that the only way he could continue playing was to wear a special helmet. So Mark brings this big helmet with him, and he talks about what it was like to wear this helmet and how this helmet protected him from further concussions. So we have a great group of people. Jean Blake is a moderator. Jean Blake has a lot of experience interviewing people. I co-wrote a book with her on talking with children a few years ago, but Jean Blake is just an outstanding moderator. Perhaps really what makes this conference, though, to be honest, is Sylvia Mackey. Sylvia is a spouse, if you will. She's the wife of the great tight end John Mackey, number 88. And of course, the whole NFL program to support these families is named for him because his wife, Sylvia, brought this issue out into the open and convinced the NFL that they needed to do something. We hope that through these forums we can achieve at least three things. One, we really want people to know that mental disorders are real, that they are common, that mental health is not to be taken for granted. Mental disorders are disabling. The good news, of course, is that in most of the cases we can treat mental disorders. We can help people to recover and to return to productive lives. But also we have a problem with stigma, which keeps a lot of people from getting a cure. That's point number one. Point number two, I think, in these forums is we're trying to make people understand that athletes and their families, like all other types of families in America, suffer from mental disorders. They struggle with mental disorders. Sometimes these mental disorders can interfere with their ability to function. They have to be a team member. They have to get up for game after game. And if you're dealing with something like depression, it's very hard to do that. So there are various ways in which mental disorders can hurt the career of athletes, just as they can hurt the productivity and relationships of anybody else. And finally, we want to zoom in on this problem of head trauma, that it's not something to be taken for granted, especially when it occurs in our children. Concussions are not to be taken lightly. Children are not to go back into games unless they're cleared by a health professional. And then we want to talk a little bit about the experience of people like Mark Kelso and Eric Hipple after football careers.